I woke up with the taste of blood in my mouth, and my hands tied so tightly I couldn't feel my fingers anymore. The man in front of me was the kind of handsome that could kill. Tattoos climbing his neck, a scar across his eyebrow, eyes so dark they looked like black holes. "Your name?" he demanded in heavily accented Italian. "Sophia Blake," I whispered through cracked lips. He froze. For 3 eternal seconds, he just stared at me. Then he picked up his phone, typed something, and let out a curse that made even his armed men recoil. "You got the wrong Sophia. You idiots." My heart stopped. Wrong? We were supposed to get Sophia Bellini, the daughter of the man who robbed me. You got, he gestured at me with contempt, a random student. Relief washed over me. Then let me go. It was a mistake. He laughed, but there was no humor, just cold cruelty. Now that you've seen me, that you know my name, that you're inside my house, he leaned so close I could feel his breath on my face. No, darling, you weren't the target, but now you're mine, and you'll stay that way until I decide otherwise. This is the story of how a case of mistaken identity transformed me from an innocent art student into the personal property of the most dangerous man in New York, and how the worst mistake of my life became the beginning of something no one could see coming. Hello, dear souls. Thank you so much for being here and supporting this channel. Your presence means the world to me. If you're new here or haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Comment below where you're listening from. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. 24 hours before the kidnapping, my life was perfectly ordinary. I was Sophia Blake, 27 years old, a master's student in art history at Columbia University, living in a tiny apartment in Morningside Heights that I shared with my best friend Emma. My routine was predictable to the point of boredom. Classes in the morning, research in the library in the afternoon, work as a teaching assistant at night, bad coffee sustaining me through long study sessions, instant noodles being my most frequent meal. On that particular Tuesday, I was working late at the library, immersed in books about Caravaggio and his revolutionary use of light and shadow. My thesis focused on how chiaroscuro technique influenced subsequent Baroque painters. It was work I loved, even if it didn't pay the bills. At 8 o'clock that night, Emily texted me, "Still alive? Or have the books finally consumed you? Hello. Leaving in 10 minutes. I need real food." Instant noodles don't count as real food. See you at home. I packed my things. Laptop, notebooks, stack of books I still needed to look up. The night librarian, Ms. Chen, waved as I passed. "Studying late again, Sophia?" "Always. This thesis isn't going to write itself." "You work too much, darling. Remember to live too." I laughed. "When I'm done with this, I promise. Just 6 more months." I stepped out into the chilly October air of New York, adjusting my backpack under the weight of my books. The campus was quiet at this hour. Most students already in dorms or at parties or wherever typical students spent Tuesday nights. I began my familiar walk along the dimly lit streets toward my apartment. I was 3 blocks from the library when I felt it, that primal sensation of being watched, of not being alone. I looked back, but saw no one. Just shadows and the dim light of streetlights. "You're being paranoid," I murmured to myself, but I quickened my pace anyway, fingers gripping the straps of my backpack. A van appeared out of nowhere, the side door opening while it was still moving. Before I could scream, before I could run, strong hands grabbed me, arms like iron claws pulling me off the sidewalk. I tried to fight, kicking and twisting, but there were too many. Cloth pressed against my face, that sweet smell. The world spinning. Darkness. I woke up what should have been hours later, judging by how stiff my muscles were. The blindfold over my eyes, cable ties cutting into my wrists, the cold metallic floor of the van vibrating beneath me. Voices speaking rapid Italian from the front of the vehicle. I caught fragments. The target. The boss. Better be worth it. The target? Cold, clear panic ripped through me. They thought I was someone specific, someone worth kidnapping, but I was nobody. A poor student living off loans and ramen. What could anyone possibly want with me? The van slowed, making a sharp turn. The sound of gravel under the tires. Then we stopped. Engine shut off. Silence except for my panicked breathing. "Get her out," ordered a voice with a heavy accent. Hands grabbed me, dragging me out without any gentleness. My legs gave way after being held so tightly for so long, but someone caught me before I fell completely. Cold air hit my face. Pine trees and damp earth. Somewhere rural. We climbed steps, crossed a threshold, a door closing with terrifying finality. I was pushed into the chair. The cable ties were finally cut from my wrists. Blood welled up with a painful tingling sensation. Footsteps receding. The door closing. Silence. I stood paralyzed, terrified to remove the blindfold without permission. Terrified of what I would see if I did. But finally, unable to bear the darkness any longer, I reached out trembling hands and removed the blindfold. I was in an office, masculine and sophisticated, with dark wood furniture and floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. A huge desk dominated the space, and behind it sat a man who took my breath away. He was younger than I expected, perhaps close to 40, devastatingly handsome in a dangerous way. Dark hair combed back framing a face with striking angles, tanned skin, a jawline shadowed by a meticulously trimmed beard, but it was his eyes that paralyzed me. Dark brown, almost black, assessing me with an intensity that seemed physical. He wore an expensive black shirt, with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows, revealing forearms covered in intricate tattoos. More ink showed on his collar, suggesting extensive tattooing on his chest. Heavy rings that looked more like weapons than jewelry. He looked exactly what he probably was. A very, very dangerous man. "You're awake," he observed. Obvious Italian accent. A hoarse voice that sent involuntary shivers down my spine. "Great. I have questions. Who are you? Why did you kidnap me?" My voice came out louder than I felt. He tilted his head. "I'll ask the questions. You answer them. Let's see how this works. I want to call the police. I want a lawyer. I have rights. You have nothing." He leaned forward slightly. "Now you only have what I allow you to have. The sooner you understand that, the easier it will be." Fear gripped me, but I forced myself to face him. "I don't know what you want, but I'm nobody. I'm a graduate student with maybe $200 in my account and loans that will take 30 years to pay off. If this is about a bailout, you've got the wrong person." Something sparkled in his expression. "Your name? What? Tell me your name. Why? You're the one who kidnapped me. Shouldn't you already know?" His jaw clenched. "Your name. Sophia. Sophia Blake." I watched her expression intently. "Does this mean anything to you?" He remained silent for a long moment, his dark eyes never leaving my face. Then he picked up his cell phone, typing something. His expression grew darker with each passing second. Finally, he hung up and looked at me with an intensity that made me recoil in my chair. Sophia Blake, master's student in art history at Columbia, 27 years old, lives alone with a roommate in Morningside Heights, no criminal record, no ties to organized crime, absolutely no reason for me to be interested in you." He paused. "Then why should my men grab Sophia Bellini, daughter of Antonio Bellini, who's been stealing from my operations for 6 months? We were going to use her as leverage, to make him return what he took." He moved around the table with predatory grace. "But they grabbed the wrong Sophia." My heart sank. Identity mistaken. "Yes." He stopped in front of me. "Which creates a problem. Then let me go. I won't tell anyone. I didn't see any faces. I don't know where I am. You saw me." He crouched down, getting himself at eye level with me. "You could identify me to the police, to the feds, to anyone who asks." "I'm not going," I began. "I swear I'll forget this ever happened." His smile was cold. "I don't think so, Ms. Blake." Tears stung, but I refused to let them fall. "So what happens now? Kill me because your men are incompetent?" My men followed orders perfectly. They grabbed a woman named Sophia as she was leaving the Columbia Library, exactly where Bellini's daughter goes out every Tuesday. He returned to his desk. "The mistake was mine. I should have provided a photograph." "Great. Then kill me because you didn't send a photo. I still haven't decided what to do with you." He poured himself a drink from a crystal decanter. "You're a complication I didn't foresee, but also an opportunity." "Opportunity for what?" "Bellini still has my money, and now I have something he doesn't know I'm keeping." His eyes met mine. "A young woman held against her will in a place he'll never find. If I let him think I have his daughter, I can still get what I want. She wants me to pretend to be her. I don't even know what she looks like. She looks a lot like you. Dark hair, similar build, same age. In a poorly lit photo, Bellini won't notice the difference until it's too late." He put down his glass. "You're going to cooperate. Let my men take photos to send to Bellini. When he returns what he stole, you'll be freed. Simple as that. What if he doesn't give me back? Or finds out I'm not his daughter? We'll deal with it when it happens." He picked up his cell phone and started typing a message. "You will remain here under surveillance. Any attempt to escape will be severely punished. This is madness. You can't just keep me prisoner. I can, and I am. She looked up from her phone. I should have been more careful walking alone at night. I should have paid more attention to my surroundings. I should have been anything but an easy target who shares a name with someone I monitor. So it's my fault? Anger overcame fear. She's being kept alive, which is more than many in her position receive. His expression hardened. Be grateful, Miss Blake, and pray that Bellini values his real daughter enough to pay for what he thinks is hers. A knock on the door interrupted whatever I was trying to say. A man entered, tall, burly, with a scar on his left cheek, the same dangerous aura. Boss, he said in Italian, we have Bellini's location. Proceed with the request? Yes. Send a photo first. Make sure it's convincing. The boss, whose name I didn't yet know, gestured toward me. Take her to the guest room. Make sure she's comfortable, but safe. I don't want any escape attempts. Wait, I called as the scarred man approached. I don't even know your name. If I'm going to be your prisoner, shouldn't I know who's keeping me here? He considered it, then smiled slightly. You may call me Dante, and you are not a prisoner, Miss Blake. You are a guest. Involuntary and not optional, but a guest nonetheless. That's just kidnapping with better semantics. Maybe. He nodded to the man with the scar. Go, Marco. Make sure you have everything you need. We want you to look healthy for the photos. Marco grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the door. I tried to resist, but his grip was iron. I looked back. Dante was watching me with an expression I couldn't decipher. That's illegal, I shouted. Kidnapping, false imprisonment. Yes, Dante agreed calmly. Add it to the list of my crimes. I'm sure the authorities will be very interested, if they ever find out. The threat was clear. If she spoke, if she went to the police afterwards, there would be permanent consequences. The guest room was surprisingly comfortable. King-size bed with immaculate white sheets, ensuite marble bathroom, windows overlooking dense forest, and wrought iron bars outside, elegant but unmistakably prison-like. Marco left me there with a simple warning. Don't try anything stupid. We have cameras in every hallway. I was alone for the first time in hours, finally allowing the breakdown I'd been holding back. I sank to the floor, hugging my knees, sobs shaking my body. I had been kidnapped. I was being held prisoner by a Mafia boss who mistook me for someone else, and he planned to use me as a bargaining chip in some dangerous game I didn't understand. My phone was gone. My backpack with my laptop and books was gone. Emma must be frantic with worry right now. The police were probably already involved. My parents in Ohio would be terrified, and I had no way to contact them, no way to tell them I was alive. Eventually, the tears dried. I stood up, washing my face in the luxurious bathroom, studying my reflection. I looked the same dark brown hair falling to my shoulders, same gray-green eyes, same light freckles across my nose. But something had changed. There was fear in my eyes that had never been there before. I systematically explored the room. Empty drawers, empty closet, nothing I could use as a weapon or escape tool. Sealed windows, door locked from the outside. I was truly trapped. It must have been hours later when the door opened again. A woman entered, older, perhaps 60, with gray hair pulled back in an efficient bun. She carried a tray of food. You need to eat, she said in English with a heavy Italian accent. Mr. Dante says you should be healthy. I'm not hungry. That was a lie. I was starving, but pride made me refuse. Eat or force me. She placed the tray on the table. The choice is yours. I looked at the food. Pasta, bread, salad, water. Simple, but substantial. My stomach growled, betraying me. With a defeated sigh, I sat down and ate. The woman watched me, made sure I finished everything, then took the tray away without another word. Night fell. No one else came. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything. My mind raced in circles, escape plans that would lead nowhere, hopes of rescue that seemed increasingly improbable. Eventually, exhaustion won, and I fell asleep. I woke up with sunlight streaming through the barred windows. For a disorienting moment, I forgot where I was. Then it all came back. The kidnapping, Dante, the confusion of identity. A new panic gripped me, but I pushed it down. Panicking wouldn't help. I needed to think clearly, to look for opportunities. The door opened. Marco entered, followed by Dante. The boss was dressed casually today, dark jeans and a gray shirt that emphasized his muscular physique. Still intimidating, but somehow more approachable without the formal suit. "Did you sleep well?" His question was polite, but not genuinely interested. "How do you think I slept?" I replied sharply. "Better than Bellini will sleep when he finds out his daughter has been captured." He gestured to Marco. "Prepare her. We need the photos now." "Photos?" I instinctively replied. "To send to Bellini. Proof that we have a daughter by him." Dante studied me. "You'll look scared but unharmed. Hold up today's newspaper to prove timing. Simple. What if I refuse? Then we'll force it. Your choice. Cooperate voluntarily or have 5 men hold you down while we take photos anyway." Her eyes hardened. "Which do you prefer?" I swallowed my difficulty. "I will cooperate." "Smart." He nodded to Marco. "Quick. The sooner we send it, the sooner this is over." Marco took me to a different room, some sort of converted basement. They sat me in a chair against a bare wall. They threw newspaper in my lap. The photographer started shooting, flashes exploding repeatedly. I tried to look defiant instead of terrified, but I don't know if it worked. "Enough," Dante finally said. "Marco, edit to ensure there are no identifiable details beyond her. Then send it to Bellini with our demands." "How much are you asking?" I couldn't help but ask. 2 million. Money he stole, plus interest. Dante put his cell phone away. "If you value your daughter, you'll pay. If not," he shrugged. "We'll find out. And what about me? What happens to me when he pays?" "It depends." She started to leave, then stopped. "On how many questions she asks when she's released. On how well she can forget my face, this place, everything she saw. Are you asking me to just come back into my life as if nothing happened? I'm saying that a good memory can be dangerous." It wasn't an empty threat. It was a promise. The following days dragged on in a strange routine. Food was brought 3 times a day. An older woman, I learned her name was Rosa, was silent but efficient. Books appeared occasionally. Someone must have noticed I was going mad with boredom. Nothing about Renaissance art, just generic novels. Better than nothing. Dante would occasionally show up, checking on progress. Bellini was apparently negotiating, trying to lower the price. "Typical," Dante muttered during one visit. "A man steals millions, but haggles when it comes to his own daughter. Maybe he knows I'm not really her," I suggested. "Unlikely. The photos were convincing." He studied me. "You're calmer, accepting the situation. Do I have a choice? I can't run away. I can't ask for help. I can only hope that it all ends without them killing me." "I'm not going to kill her." He sounded almost offended. "Contrary to popular belief, I don't kill innocent people randomly. Only the guilty ones. Only those who betray me, who steal, who threaten my empire." He leaned against the wall. "You are a victim of circumstance. Wrong. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong name. He doesn't deserve death for that." How generous. But there was genuine curiosity now. "Why do you do this? All this criminal life? You clearly have money, intelligence. You could do anything. This is a family legacy. My grandfather built the organization after the war. My father expanded it, and I inherited it. It's that simple. Nothing is that simple. You chose to continue." His eyes darkened. "When you're born into this world, leaving isn't easy. Rivals see it as weakness. Allies see it as betrayal. Family sees it as disrespect. So you stay and do the best you can within the established rules. And kidnapping innocent students falls within those rules. A mistake was made. I'm correcting it while minimizing damage." She pushed herself away from the wall. "You will be freed, Sophia. Be patient." But patience was running out, especially when, a week after the kidnapping, everything fell apart. I was reading when the door burst open. Dante entered, his face stormy. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "Bellini found his daughter, the real one. She was visiting a friend in Boston every week. So now he knows we don't have her. And he's furious, thinking we tried to deceive him." My heart sank. It means you're no longer valuable as a bargaining chip. And Bellini probably wants war now to avenge the insult. He ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "This is turning into a complete mess." "Then let me go. I'm not part of this." "It's not that simple." He started walking. "Bellini knows we tried to deceive him. He'll spread the word. My reputation will suffer. I need to show strength, not weakness. And I am the weakness. You are a complication." She stopped walking, looking at me, and a responsibility. "Because as long as you're alive, you can testify against me. You can identify my men. You can destroy everything I've built. Pure terror overwhelmed me. You're going to kill me. It should. Logically, it would be the smartest move. He moved closer, stopping just inches away. But there's a problem. Which? I can't. A tortured expression. I look at you and I see innocence. I see a whole life ahead of you. I see someone who doesn't deserve to die because my men are incompetent. Then don't do it. Let me go. I swear I won't say anything. Your oaths mean nothing. The moment you leave here, the police will come. Family will come. And even if you genuinely try to protect me, you'll eventually give in. He cupped my face, his thumb brushing my cheek. A surprisingly gentle gesture. Then you stay. Not as a prisoner. As... He hesitated. Like what? As mine. Under my protection. My responsibility. Intense dark eyes. You weren't the target, Sophia. But now you're mine. And I'll stay that way until I decide otherwise. This is crazy. You can't keep me here forever. I can and I will. Unless... He stopped. Unless what? Unless you give me reason to trust that you won't betray me. Reason to believe that when I eventually set you free, it won't be my ruin. He released my face, stepping back. Think about it. Because the alternative is far worse than comfortable confinement. He left, leaving me alone with the implications of his words. I was no longer just a temporary deception. I was a permanent problem, and the only way out was to convince him that he could trust me. But how could I gain the trust of a man who lived in a world where trust meant death? The days turned into weeks. My situation changed subtly. I was no longer constantly locked in my room. I was allowed to move around the house under supervision. Rosa talked more, telling stories about the Dante family, about the boy he had been before a life of crime hardened him. He's not bad, she said one afternoon as we folded laundry. Just lost. Trapped in a life he didn't choose but can't leave. He kidnapped me. A mistake was made. But do you realize that you are safe here? Fed, sheltered, treated with respect? There are worse fates. I couldn't argue. Dante kept his distance but ensured my comfort. Books appeared. Finally, some about art when I mentioned my thesis. A laptop appeared, without internet, but with a word processor to continue writing. Small acts of kindness that made captivity more bearable. A month after the kidnapping, everything changed again. Dante appeared in the garden where he had been reading. I need to show you something. I followed him to his office. The computer displayed the news. Columbia student missing for a month. Family offers reward. And my picture was on the screen. A graduation photo. Smiling with no suspicion of the future. They're looking for you, Dante said unnecessarily. The FBI is involved now. The pressure is mounting. Then let me go. I'll say I ran away, that I don't know who caught me. They won't believe it. And even if they do, the investigation will continue. Eventually, it will lead them to me. He closed his laptop. No, we need a different solution. Which? You disappear. Permanently. Not dead, he added quickly, seeing my panic. But a new identity. A new life. Somewhere where you'll never be found. Do you want me to abandon my entire life? Family? Friends? Education? I want her to survive. And the only way to do that while keeping us both safe is if Sophia Blake ceases to exist. She turned to me. I can arrange it. New identity. Money. A new life anywhere you choose. Italy, France, South America. You choose. What if I refuse? Then stay here. Forever. Because I can't risk setting her free. She was trapped. Truly trapped. Because both options meant losing everything she knew. I need time. To think. You have 48 hours. After that, I'll decide for you. He moved closer. Sophia, I know it's not fair. I know you didn't choose this. But life is rarely fair. And sometimes survival means letting go of who you were. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced the room, my mind racing. Disappearing meant never seeing my family again. It meant abandoning my thesis, my dreams, the future I had planned. But being trapped here forever, was that life at all? I was in the garden at dawn when Dante found me. He didn't sleep. I wasn't able to. He sat down next to me on the bench. I understand that it's an impossible decision. Do you understand? When did you have to leave everything you knew behind? When I was 16. My father was murdered. My younger sister was threatened. I had to choose. Take over the criminal empire and protect her, or run away and let her die. He looked at the trees. I chose to stay. I chose violence, and I lost who I could have been. So you understand. I understand better than you think. He turned to me. And that's why I'll give you a third option. Which? Stay. Not as a prisoner. As a partner. Help me transform the organization into something legitimate. Use your intelligence and education to move us towards legal business. And when it's safe, when the empire is clean, you're free to go with a new identity and enough money to start over." I was stunned. Why would I do that? Because I need to change. The organization needs to evolve, and maybe you're the catalyst. He extended his hand. "So, what do you say? Stay and help me build something better?" I looked at his hand, then at his face. There was sincerity there, a vulnerability I hadn't seen before, and I realized he was as trapped as I was. Trapped in a life he didn't choose, searching for a way out. "If I do this, I need guarantees. No injuries. Regular contact with family through secure means. And when this is over, when business is legitimate, you let me go." "I agree." Hand still extended. I took a deep breath. It was madness. It was impossible. It was also the only chance to survive this with any autonomy. I took her hand. "Then let's make it happen." The following months were surreal. Dante kept his promises. He allowed me to call my parents on an untraceable phone, saying I was alive but couldn't explain why. The calls were heartbreaking. They begged me to come back, to go to the police. I had to lie, say I was voluntarily absent, pursuing something I couldn't discuss. Eventually, they reluctantly accepted it, and I started working. Dante opened books for me, literally. Every transaction, every operation, every source of revenue. It was impressive and terrifying. Drugs, weapons, protection, illegal loans, an empire built on violence. "How do we transform this?" I asked, looking at the numbers. "Systematically. We shut down illegal operations while opening legitimate ones. Real estate, investments, legitimate businesses that generate revenue without violence." He pointed to a spreadsheet. "But it takes time, and it creates power vacuums that rivals will exploit. So we need protection during the transition." "Exactly." He looked at me with something like admiration. "You understand quickly. I'm a master's student. I understand complex systems. I've worked with numbers. What if we diversify? We maintain some existing operations during the transition but start investing heavily in legitimate businesses. It would work, but we spent hours planning. They turned into days, weeks, working together, building a strategy to transform a criminal empire into a legitimate corporation. And somewhere along the way, something changed between us. It was no longer captor and captive. We were partners. He asked for my opinion on decisions. I challenged strategies. We argued, sometimes heatedly, but always with growing mutual respect. One night, months after agreeing to help, we were in the office working late. Dante spilled coffee and cursed in Italian. I laughed. He looked up, surprised. "It's the first time I've seen you laugh," he said. "There's not much to laugh about when you're a prisoner. You haven't been a prisoner for months, Sophia. The doors are unlocked. You could leave at any time." I realized he was right. He hadn't tried to run away in weeks. Why would I stay then? "You tell me." Intense dark eyes. "Because..." I paused, realizing the truth. "Because this matters. This transformation we're building. And because you..." I swallowed. "Because you're not the monster I initially thought." "I'm a monster, Sophia. Just someone trying to be better. So there are two of us." I moved closer, trying to be better than the circumstances that brought us here. He took my hand. The first truly voluntary touch between us. "What's going on here?" "I don't know, but I'm scared." "Me too." He pulled me closer. "Because somewhere between the kidnapping and now, I started to care. Not just about your safety, but about you. Your laughter, your opinion, your presence. Dante, I know it's wrong. I know it started horribly, but..." He touched my face. I can't deny it anymore. I kissed him. I don't know who moved first, but suddenly we were together, a desperate and tender kiss at the same time. Years of tension, fear, and confusion spilling out in that moment. When we parted ways, we were both breathless. "This is madness," I whispered. "Completely." He kissed me again. "And I don't care." Our relationship changed everything. Dante was no longer just a captor turned reluctant employer. He was a partner, a confidant, and eventually, a lover. But we knew it was complicated. Impossible even. Built on a foundation of kidnapping and need, not genuine love. Or at least that's what we told ourselves. "This can't last," I said one night, lying in his arms after we'd made love for the first time. "When the transformation is complete, when you no longer need me, don't say that." He pulled me closer. "It's not about needing. It's about wanting. Do you want the woman you kidnapped? I want the woman who challenged me at every turn, who saw a monster and decided to help anyway, who is brilliant and stubborn and makes me want to be better. He kissed my forehead. And yes, I'm sorry for how you started, but I can't regret where we've ended up. But eventually I'll have to go back. My family, my life, and when that day comes, I'll let you go, like I promised. But her voice cracked slightly. Even if it kills me to do it. We didn't sleep much that night. We just clung to each other, both knowing that the clock was ticking towards our inevitable separation. 3 months after our first kiss, everything nearly fell apart. The FBI showed up. Not at the property. Dante had warned them too many times for that. But they began an aggressive investigation into my disappearance. They pressured Emma, my teachers, my co-workers, looking for clues, connections. They know, Dante said, closing his laptop after reading the intelligence report. They don't have proof yet, but they suspect it was me. Then let me go. I'll say I ran away, that I was hiding. They won't believe it, not after all this time. And the moment they show up, I'll be in jail for kidnapping. He rubbed his tired face. Unless what? Unless you disappear in a way that looks like death. Body never found. Presumed dead. FBI eventually closes the case, and you live under a new identity. Horror gripped me. Are you asking me to fake my death? To make my family think I'm dead? I'm asking you to choose between them thinking you're dead, but you're actually alive, or them knowing the truth, but me spending the next 20 years in prison. His eyes met mine. And Sophia, if I'm arrested, the organization collapses. Agreements we have, protections we've established, everything disappears. And people who depend on me become vulnerable. You're manipulating me. I'm telling the truth, ugly, brutal, but true. He moved closer. I'm not asking for a decision now, but think about it, because in 2 months, the FBI may have enough evidence for a warrant. I fought with determination for weeks. The thought of my parents thinking I was dead was unbearable, but the thought of Dante being imprisoned, of all our work being destroyed, was almost as bad. And there was cold truth in his words. If he were imprisoned, the resulting power vacuum would be bloody. There's another option, I finally suggested. Accelerate the transformation. Make the operation so legitimate so quickly that when the FBI comes, they won't find anything. And then I can reappear, saying I had a breakdown, needed time off. It's risky. Speeding up creates openings. It makes you vulnerable to rivals. So we protect those loopholes. We double down on security. We make strategic agreements. We do whatever it takes. I took his hands. Dante, I won't fake my death, but I will fight like hell to protect what we've built. Both of us. He studied my face, then nodded slowly. Then we speed up. And may God help us if we fail. The following months were a whirlwind. We shut down illegal operations at alarming rates, investing heavily in legitimate businesses. Real estate, legitimate import-export, even an art gallery specializing in Renaissance works. My suggestion, something we could eventually run legitimately. Dante negotiated deals with authorities through lawyers, offering cooperation in smaller cases in exchange for immunity in larger ones. A legal tightrope that his expensive team of lawyers navigated with impressive skill. And it worked. Slowly but surely, Dante's empire transformed. Not completely clean, some gray operations remained, but legitimate enough to withstand scrutiny. When the FBI finally came with a warrant, they found meticulously organized ledgers, thoroughly documented operations, nothing they could use. The agent in charge, Agent Reeves, was especially frustrated. "We know you have her," he told Dante, during an interrogation I watched via security camera. "We know Sophia Blake was on your property." "Proof?" Dante's lawyer William interrupted calmly. "We are working on it. Then come back when you have it. In the meantime, my client has legitimate business to run." William gathered his papers. "And Agent Reeves, if you continue this harassment without evidence, we will sue for defamation and harassment. My client is a respected businessman. He does not appreciate unfounded implications." I watched Dante remain perfectly calm throughout, never stumbling, never revealing anything. And when the FBI finally came away empty-handed, he went back to the office where he was waiting and just collapsed into his chair. "It's done," he said. "They can't prove anything. Does this mean I'm free? It means you're safe. But showing up now would still raise questions. We need a story, something to explain where you've been." We spent weeks crafting the narrative, mental breakdown after thesis stress, Time spent in an undisclosed private facility, which Dante owned and could have falsified records for. Slow return to health. It wasn't perfect, but it was believable. When do I do that? I asked. When do I reappear? When you're ready. When we're sure the FBI bought into our transformation. When... He hesitated. When you're ready to leave me. What if I'm not ready? So we're stuck in this limbo. You're officially gone. We're living in secret. This isn't real life, Sophia. But it's our life, and it's worth something. I cupped his face in my hands. Dante, when I reappear, when I return to my world, I want you to come with me. As a business partner in the gallery. As whatever we are to each other. The world will not accept a former Mafia boss dating a kidnapping victim he himself perpetrated. So we don't tell that part. We say we met during my recovery, that you invested in my gallery, that, I swallowed, that we genuinely fell in love. That's a lie. It's about survival. And Dante, I don't want to go back without you. These months, however distorted they may have been, have made me realize that you have become everything. He kissed me, desperately and tenderly. I love you. I know it's wrong. I know I shouldn't, but I love you more than anything. So we make it work. Somehow, we make it work. 2 years after my initial kidnapping, 2 years that irrevocably transformed both our lives, I finally reappeared. The story we created was solid. Collapse after stress, private treatment, slow return. My parents were ecstatic. My friends shocked. Emma cried for hours when I finally saw her. The FBI investigated, of course, but the story held up. Doctors, paid by Dante, confirmed the treatment. Falsified records supported the timeline. And I stood firm in every interrogation, never wavering, never revealing the truth. The hardest part was looking my parents in the eye and lying. "Where were you, darling?" my mother cried. "Why didn't you contact us?" "I wasn't feeling well, Mom. I needed help, but I was ashamed. I didn't want anyone to see me like that." Half-truths were easier than outright lies. But I'm better now, and ready to go back. Go back for what? Your thesis, your program, they were suspended, but I can resume them. Or maybe do something different. I opened an art gallery. I showed photos. Specializing in Renaissance works. It's something I've always wanted to do. And who finances this? My father. Always practical. Investor. Man named Dante Corleone. We used a false surname. Something more acceptable. He believes in the project. With time, life found a new normal. I eventually finished my thesis, defending it 2 years late but with honors. I opened a gallery in Soho, quickly establishing a reputation for exceptional curation. And Dante remained a silent partner, an investor who occasionally appeared at events, but mostly stayed in the background, at least publicly. Privately, we were inseparable. He bought a penthouse near the gallery. We had dinner together every night when possible. We traveled to art auctions in Europe. We built a life that was strange and imperfect, but ours. "Are you happy?" he asked one night, 3 years after my reappearance. We were on the terrace of his penthouse, watching glittering New York below. It shouldn't be like that. Considering how it started, I should hate you, be traumatized, and want revenge. But you're not. No. Because somewhere between the kidnapping and now, I learned that people are complex, that you can be both the person who took me away and the person who saved me, that love can grow from impossible ground. I turned to face him. So yes, I am happy, however impossible that may seem. "Will you marry me?" It wasn't a question. It was a declaration. But in her eyes, I saw vulnerable hope. "Dante, I know it's crazy. I know we started in the worst possible way. But Sophia, I want to spend the rest of my life proving that I was worthy of you, that the transformation we started can be complete." He knelt down, producing a velvet box. "Marry me, not because you have to, but because you want to." Tears streamed down my face. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." He slipped a ring, a diamond surrounded by sapphires, onto my finger, and kissed me as if we were the last real thing in the universe. And perhaps we were. 2 impossible people building an impossible love from an impossible foundation. We got married 6 months later. Small ceremony, just close family and friends. My parents adored Dante, without ever knowing the whole truth. Emma served as maid of honor, still a little suspicious but supportive. Marco, who had become a genuine friend, was Dante's best man. "Sophia Blake," Dante said in his vows, "you came into my life in the worst possible way, and somehow you became the best thing that ever happened to me. I promise to spend each day deserving your forgiveness, your love, your trust. I promise to build a life where I never have to fear, where I am free to be all that I can be. And I promise to love you until my last breath. My vows were simpler. Dante, you have changed my life in every way. I didn't choose this initially, but I choose it now. I choose you. I choose us. I choose to believe that redemption is possible. I promise to stand by your side, to challenge you to be better, and to love you through it all. The reception was joyful. No one would have known, looking at us, that our story began with a kidnapping. We seemed like a normal couple, in love, building a future together. And perhaps we were. Perhaps the past didn't define the future. Epilogue. 8 years later, spring arrived in Soho with cherry blossoms in bloom and tourists filling galleries. My gallery, Modern Renaissance, was thriving. I had curated international exhibitions, published scholarly articles, and established myself as an authority on Renaissance art. The life I had dreamed of, only better, because it was shared. Dante was in an adjacent office, managing an investment portfolio that was now completely legitimate. He advised emerging companies, invested in ethical ventures, and even occasionally spoke about business transformation. The dangerous man of 8 years ago had evolved into a respected entrepreneur. Mommy, our 5-year-old daughter, Aria, ran out of the exhibition room, dark hair flying, eyes the exact same coffee color as Dante's. The artist is here for an installation. Thank you, darling. Tell Daddy, okay? I watched her run off, my heart swelling. Aria was a surprise, unplanned but deeply desired, living proof that love could grow from impossible beginnings. Dante appeared moments later, Aria in his arms. The artist is setting up in the North Gallery. Do we need to review the contract? I've already done it. Everything's in order. I kissed him casually, a gesture that felt so natural now. How was the meeting? Productive. Tech companies want to invest in our mentorship program. Programs we had started, offering guidance to at-risk youth, alternatives to the life of crime that Dante once lived. Marco thinks we can expand to 3 additional cities this year. It's wonderful. And it was. Seeing Dante use his knowledge and connections for good instead of crime was daily proof that people could change. That night, after the gallery closed and Aria went to sleep, Dante and I stayed on the terrace as we had done for years. New York glittered below, the city where everything had begun so horribly and ended so beautifully. Do you regret it yet? I asked. A question we asked periodically, checking, making sure. About kidnapping you initially? Every day. I'll never completely get rid of that guilt. He pulled me into his arms. But where have we come from? From you? From Aria? From this life? Not even once. Me neither. I rested my head on his shoulder. People think I'm crazy when I tell them we met under unconventional circumstances. If they only knew how unconventional they really were. They'll never know. This is our story, our truth, and we protect it, because it protects Aria. It protects everything we've built. Do you think she'll understand someday? When she's older? I hope so. I hope you see that people make terrible mistakes but can spend a lifetime making up for them. That love isn't always a fairy tale, but sometimes something messier and more real. She turned me in her arms. And what a strong woman I know who chose to forgive, chose to stay, chose to build something beautiful from a broken foundation. Not just me. We built this together. I kissed him softly. And we will continue building. One day, 1 year, 1 decade at a time. From inside the penthouse, Aria whimpered in her sleep. We both moved instinctively toward her, our parents attuned to every sound. We found her in her bed, clutching the teddy bear Dante had given her. He gently tucked her in, kissed her forehead. She will never know danger, he whispered. She will never know fear like you have. I promise. I know. And that's why I've completely forgiven you. Because the man who kidnapped me isn't the kind of man who protects our daughter with such ferocity. You've changed, Dante. You've truly changed. We returned to our room, to the bed we had shared for years, and as we fell asleep intertwined, I thought about that impossible journey, from kidnapping victim to business partner to wife to mother, from fear to trust to love, from trauma to healing. It wasn't a story we would tell publicly, but it was our story, and every scar, every fear overcome, every moment of forgiveness made our love deeper, more real, more lasting than any fairy tale could be. Because in the end, it's not how love begins that matters. It's what you build with it afterward. And Dante and I had built something extraordinary from the start, something unimaginable, living proof that redemption is possible, that love can grow where it's least expected. that even the most catastrophic mistakes can lead to the most beautiful endings. I love you, I murmured in the dark. I love you more, he replied. As always, today, tomorrow, and every day after. And in the quiet of the New York night, two impossible people with impossible love slept peacefully, knowing they had defied all odds and won. Thank you for listening to me until the end, dear souls. I am immensely grateful to each of you who dedicated your time to embark on this journey with me. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any stories. Leave a comment below. Do you believe that love can grow from impossible beginnings? That redemption is possible even after terrible mistakes? Until the next story, continue believing in the power of forgiveness, second chances, and transformative love. A big hug from someone who believes that everyone deserves the opportunity to change.